Hey everyone, welcome to the stream number 178, community stream 178. I hope that you can hear me well and that everything is working fine. Welcome to the stream. We have quite a lot of different things we'll be seeing, but also that I will be showing to you today. There are quite some um, exclusive elements to share with you. So I hope we will be able to have a fun stream all together today. It's the fight night number 178, as I was mentioning, and yeah, as usual, we'll start with the easy fight. We'll then go to the hardcore and more advanced one. The easy one should be going quite fast today because we only have roughly 10 players in this one, if I remember correctly. I think, yeah, that's 10 players. I'm going to go live uh, preparing the event. And yeah, I will also be showing a few stuff to you already right out of the bat. One thing I wanted to share with you is that now on the latest version, which is available on the App Stores for you to download, you can see that we have a new button that was heavily requested on the new UI. Here on the right, you can see that below what we call the main menu, where you can see all of your settings and such. Just below that, have a home button that brings you back right to the home screen, which is kind of cool because a lot of players were asking about that. I would like to remind everyone that when you are on, uh, wait, sorry, Draco, you're saying that my voice is low. Let me check if I can arrange that. Uh, just a second. So let me see if it's better now. Is it better? I don't think so. Okay, that's weird. Okay, now might be a bit better. Let me put this a bit higher and let's see if it gets better. Please let me know if you need me to increase that volume, however that might be. If it's good, let me know. If you want me to further increase the volume, I can try to find some ways around that. Mostly that we don't want it to oversaturate and such. Yeah, just let me know. Anyway, as I was saying, one thing a lot of players don't realize is that when you're on the commander or the home screen, as we will call it for lack of a better word, and make sure it's working. Yeah, Draco, the problem is the mic is just there. If you can see, pretty much just below my mouth. So I can hardly put it closer without basically having to be putting myself in this position for the entire stream. I can put it a bit higher if it's working better for everyone. I can have it in front of me. I don't need my hands, but I'm not sure it's going to make too much of a difference. The main concern I have, yeah, so the main concern I have is that this microphone does not show me the minimum and maximum on its button. So I'm trying to figure out which the maximum should be there because that's how it works clockwise on absolutely any device ever. But I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just hoping that this is the case. And yeah, we'll get going this way. Hopefully it gets a bit better. Is it overall a bit better for you, Draco, or do you feel like it's still super low compared to what you're used to? Alternatively, I can go back to the other mic and we'll get going. Hey, over L, that's a good call. Actually, we'll be talking about that if you want just in a bit. Um, okay, Draco, I'm gonna try one last thing before we get going. Let me know if it's better. Okay, so what about now? Is it better for you guys in terms of volume? I basically moved to my headset. It might be better for you. Just let me know. Usually, I'm trying not to use it too much because for whatever reason, it's breaking a lot with the encoding of YouTube, which I don't really get because it's not the case for everything else. Okay, so if it's good now, let's just work it this way. That's perfect. Cool. So, yeah, as I was saying, one thing a lot of people don't realize with the new UI and the Commander home screen is that when you click on the Age of Winter season here, you will directly get to the PvP fight. And so, yeah, that's something I wanted to reiterate because the reason why we have now the home button on the new version is so that you can go back, but just know that you don't have to go through a lot of menus. If you just want to go to PvP right away, you have a button to get there. And it's important for everyone to know. And this is working for all the other events as well. So if on the home page you see that we have the bounty hunter event right now, if you click on it, you will get to the bounty hunter directly. And there as well, you can see that you now have your home button in there. So yeah, before we move on with the actual fight, there's one last thing I wanted to show because it was requested by a lot of people, and it's a new shop. The shop that was in the new UI since the release of the new UI was not meant to be the way it was, but it was due to some technical limitations. We had to go with this solution in the meantime, and now we have implemented what is a lot better shop. It's not final yet. There will be some small adjustments, but it's way less blocky and way less uh, over the top in terms of size than what we used to have. So the bundles, they do appear big indeed because we want people to be able to see what's in there. But if you go, for example, to your resources at the bottom, you will see that you have here rather smaller um, sets that you can purchase. We've also changed the icon of the Wheel of Fortune or the Wheel of Triumph, to be precise, which was a request from the players. We had requests to change the icon so it's a bit more visible than the previous one. So that's, yeah, just something I wanted to show so that everyone is aware of that. And now, with that being shown, we can go to the actual fight night with the easy mode. I'm just rechecking that it's live there. It's the case. So we should be able to get going. We have today Benuzet, Gorka Morka, Horse, we'll have from Russia with Love, Rosarman, Annie Viper Alt, Gribnik, Comrade Facelace, and a player with a name in Cyrillic that I will not be able to pronounce. Sorry about that. But yeah, we have 10 players in this category for the day. And then we'll move on with the next category. And before moving on with the next category, we'll do what is, to me, the most exciting thing of the day, which is showing you the new runes system, which will be the first proper addition to the commanders feature. So we'll show you actual game footage of how it's work, of how it works and what has been worked on so far with the runes system. You will be able to better understand how it's intended to play because it will be all about crafting. Um, the one thing you will not see today is details about what the runes are doing because we're still working on some of the balancing there. But also, we want to keep a few surprises still, but you will be able to see the full mechanics, which will make a lot more sense than when I was just explaining that without something to actually show it to the world. So that's something I'm quite happy about. I hope you will enjoy this short video. It's about a minute long, so we'll be able to talk over it and cover quite some ground. I will probably show it twice as I usually do in those cases so that we can further talk about what's going on with the runes. Um, just an FYI, we are end of July, and right now our plan is to have the runes released middle of August. So middle of August, we would like to have the rune system released, which will be the first part of everything Commander related. And then other stuffs will be coming. Some things are actually coming alongside the, the runes for the commanders, but that will be still one of the biggest change one of the biggest changes we've done to the game pretty much since we acquired the game. But I would say even past that, even if you consider the last times of trap light, we would still be showing you something quite massive. They had some releases that were bigger than that, obviously, but it's still among the biggest stuffs that have been released on the game altogether. So we are almost done already with the easy fights. We are right now facing faceless. We will just have one fight after that, and then we'll be good to go. One thing I also will have to change starting the next fight night, because I started to see a bit of a pattern there, is that I will have to make it so that people in the easy category only get one prismatic fragment when they win, because right now, um, or even potentially no prismatic fragment, given that when you're still at this state, you're not really going to benefit from it. Because right now we see a lot of players with highly advanced artifacts that go for the easy fight because they're sure to win and get the two prismatic fragments, which is a good strategy from their side. I'm not gonna pretend it's not, but still, that's something we need to address to some extent. So that was it for the easy fight. I'm gonna close the fight right away. And now we're gonna jump into the juicy stuff and interesting stuff. So I'm gonna be changing to a different screen. I just realized, by the way, that my dog opened the door, so the door has been open for the entire stream. It happens at times, but yeah, it's funny how I always seem to run into this. Anyway, we'll be jumping to a different screen. You will still be hearing my voice. You won't be seeing me, but that's okay because you will see a way more interesting video. So let's just run into it. Yes, so you should be able to hear me. Sorry, guys, I had to change the microphone on this scene as well. What you are seeing right now is the runes system. Uh, the runes system is pretty much a way to equip runes to your commanders. You will be able to equip 3 runes to your commander. You cannot equip the same type of runes to your commander 3 times or whatever, so they will have to be different. But you will be able to pick from very likely 4 variety of effects, which means you will not be able to have all of the different effects of the stones, the rune stones, with one commander, which means you will need to do, or you will have the option to go for different combinations for every single um, commander. What you are seeing right now, and you might be wondering what this is all about, is crafting. What happens with the runes is that you will collect a lot of them. Let me put this video back in, just a second. There we go. So you will get common runes, uncommon runes, rare runes, epic runes, legendary runes. The idea is that you will use a certain amount, as you can see right now, of common runes and craft them to change them into uncommon runes. Obviously, you will need a certain amount of common runes to get uncommon runes. It's usually 3, if I remember correctly. Yeah, from 71 you get from 51 you get 17 uncommon. From yeah, I don't know how much we'll do this time. Maybe 15. Yeah, 15 uncommon runes. You're getting 5 rare runes. From 5 rare runes or 7, because that's what they have in stock in this video, he's gonna probably use 6 and get 2 epic runes. And since he already had an epic rune with 3 epic runes, if you craft them, you can get 1 legendary rune. It's the same effect for those different runes that we've seen. As you can see, you have 4 slots on the right, which corresponds to the 4 effects. You have 3 slots on your commander, so you need to use only 3 effects. But the rarity is not changing the effects per se, it's just making it stronger. Now, you might feel like, hey, everyone will just craft their way to legendary runes, and that's it. The problem is, runes will die out. So once you put it into your commander, it has a life, specific duration. Once the rune is expired, because the duration is over, you need to put a new one in if you want to benefit from the effect. So it will all be a balance between how high do you want to level up the effect versus how much runes do you want to have so that you can always have some runes in. So do you prefer to have a, a common rune with a 2% effect, but apply it all the time because you can constantly renew it, or to have a legendary rune with a 25% effect, but you only have this one available for 3 days? That's basically the kind of strategy that you will have to think about. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry. The chat just disappeared for a second here, so that's scared me a little. So yeah, that's what the rune system is about. You will have to use strategy to decide what type of effects you want to combine for each of your commanders. And on top of that, you will have to decide if you want to use the super strong runes, even if that means not having runes all the time, or if you want to use intermediate runes, or for some of you, you might end up in situations where you can always use the uncommon ones and regularly use the top ones. But the legendary ones, you will have to decide when you want to use them, because very likely most of the people will not be able to run on legendary runes all the time. And that's the point. As I was explaining in a few other stream as well, you can see the runes as kind of power stones for commanders, with the main difference being that instead of dying every season, you have this crafting system, dying every era, sorry, you have this crafting system where you will decide when you want to use them. One thing to know as well is that right now there's only 4 varieties of power stones, but on the longer run, there could be some super exclusive power stones that will only be available in a certain period of time. And if you decide to craft your way for that specific runes to get legendary ones, and you don't use them right when this event or whatever what it was happening, but later on, maybe you will be the only one that still has um, this this effect, and you will also have to decide, if you want to use it, um, if you want to use it in sync with certain power stones. So maybe you will decide to wait and keep a legendary for an entire season, because you know that in the next season a new power stone is supposed to come that will make the effect even bigger, etc. So that's the strategic aspect of the runes mechanism. Sorry. So the runes should be something you get from events, but also there will be packs and such that you can purchase. There will probably be some ways to along the road to get some runes as well um, for gems, and most likely as well through ads and such. Again, you can really see it like the power stones for commanders. So you should get them in a similar fashion to power stones. Packs of these shouldn't be expensive to get the runes in terms of um, gems and such. But on the other end, you have to remember that using these, because they will be short lived, means that you will anyway constantly get to grind for um, some of them. So, a bit like the Power Stones, where you will never be done with the Power Stones collection. Adding the runes is adding something that players can always benefit from and always have some fun with in the events and in all of the rewarding system. You know, we will have those in your season pass and all of that. And that's something we were not able to do with other rewards because we had to make them super hard to get, or we had to limit them because we would otherwise get into the artifact situation we had up until last year. So that's why we worked on the runes this way. For anyone that is just joining us, because I see we have a few more people watching, uh, you can just get back a few minutes. You will be able to see the runes in action. We've also talked about the latest changes to the new UI, including the new shop and the new home button. The new UI will become the standard pretty soon, probably with the runes release, for the simple reason that so far commanders were just cosmetics and actually on. Sorry. So I was saying, yeah, so far uh, the new UI and the commanders were not enforced because the commanders were just cosmetic. The time we are adding the runes, we have to make the commanders. Um, we have to make sure that the commanders are actually enforced to everyone by default because we need to make sure everyone is pretty much playing with the commanders. Otherwise, it will create a huge disparity between those playing with or without, and there could even be clashes and crashes and such for people that would be using the commanders when others are not because of the runes system. So it's very likely that once the runes system comes in, the new UI will be the new standard by default for the game. And that's why we wanted to address some of the remaining feedback we've had, like the home button, that was definitely something we needed, and as well the new shop because the original one was way over the top. I don't know if you've noticed as well, but we've reduced a fair bit the size of the news and such elements on the home screen. That was also feedback we got that it was way too big, so we got that tiny bit smaller as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the biggest news I wanted to share with you guys regarding the game and what is coming pretty much within a month now. The new UI is already there. The new UI changes, sorry, they're already there. You can download this version on the stores. It's not been a forced update, so we didn't enforce it yet to players, but you can download it if you're playing on the new UI. That will make your life easier. There's also some optimizations for the game speed overall. and the game consumption of your battery and such, it should be a bit better overall performance wise. I don't know why I was looking for the word performance for the last 30 seconds. So yeah, the performance should be better with the new UI on this latest version. And then we'll have the runes being released middle of August is what we're aiming at, slightly more closer to the 20th. That's what we're looking at right now, but we'll be able to give you a more definitive timeline once we get closer from it. And this means if you have any questions about the runes, about the new UI, about the commanders, etc., feel free to ask because we have way enough time to go through this and talk about it and explain a bit what is going on there, what we are working on. There are other things we're working on. We'll get to that as well. But feel free to go and ask any question you may have about the commanders and about the runes in general. Okay, guys. So, in the meantime, if you don't have questions about the runes, I'm going to be addressing the question that Ovage Ale was sharing a bit earlier with the top 100 become long range shooting and traps. Yes, that's a problem that we've identified. We didn't want the changes to be too drastic to the balancing, but there will be balancing changes with the next season, the two next seasons actually. So we're looking into that. If you have suggestions on how we could make it work, because the point is not to make all of the slightly more defensive builds completely useless either. There should be a spot for kind of both setups. Feel free to let us know. And as I was saying, within a month anyway, the commander feature coming in will probably also change and alter how everything is used in the game, very likely. One thing we, for the moment, are still fine tuning is to make sure we don't run into the 100% type of immunities or such. Um, so that's something we're looking at. But besides that, if you have any suggestions on um, specific units that you think are too strong, I know that there was the draining spirit that was brought up as something we should nerf. I know that Hydro is also obviously a unit that a lot of people want to see being nerfed a little, and I'm fine with that. Uh, but yeah, let us know if you have any suggestions. We are completely open to look into that and get this sorted indeed. Okay. Also, I wanted to know how did you guys um, feel about the anniversary event as a whole? So far, it's been rather successful, but it's something where we would have wanted to make it even bigger. The UI changes and the work on the commander pretty much couldn't really stop to just focus on the anniversary. So we had to go for stuff that are a bit more usual with cosmetics and the gold extravaganza and those kind of things. But yeah, um, I would be glad to know how you guys felt about this. And if you have any feedback about that, feel free to share it as well. If you have anything you would like for us to work on, we are completely welcome to welcoming any type of feedback for this as well. In the meantime, I'm getting smashed by most of you guys, so I feel like it's not gonna be a very long. Um, it's not gonna be a very long fight night, to be honest, because I think we have what, like maybe 20 players already that are gone, maybe more. Uh, yeah, 54 out of 70 something. So yeah, we probably already have covered like a third of the players. Not maybe not a third, a fourth of the players. But yeah, that's one thing we wanted to check with you. Something else we wanted to check with you is because the commanders are taking a big spot of the coming changes and elements coming into the game. And because we know how much you guys are desperately wanting a fight, a clan war type fight mode, we are working on something kind of clan wars related for the following month, pretty much, and probably until we have the clan wars starting to being deployed. What we would like to do is to have a clan versus clan mechanism, and it would be something happening in game but also outside of the game. What we mean by this is that right now we cannot switch all of the development force to focus solely on developing clan wars mod, but what we can do is use the existing mechanism to have a form of a clan war system where me will basically take the spot of organizing the fight for you. What it means that right now we are contemplating a system where using the battle reports that we've included, we would be able to combine that with some of the existing features into the game to make a clan tournament. What it means is, or what it's looking like right now, is that we would pick two clans of a similar strength. We would ask each clans to build up a champion list. So pretty much they would pick 4 players out of 20 and say, okay, those are our 4 champions, or 5 maybe, or whatever the number will be. And both teams would do that, and they would let us know which players they want to send against which champion. The goal being that you would have, if let's say you have 4 champions per team, that means your team on an offensive side will have to send their 20 accounts split into the 4 champions of your opponents. And you cannot just use 20 accounts to go on the smaller one of your opponent. You will have to split it so that it's a fair game. So that means you will send 5 players of your clan to fight each champion. So if you have 20 players in your clan, you will have each and every one of your player that will defy one of the opposing champion. And the same goes for the opposite team. Once we have that, we will be able to give you a time frame at which those fights will happen. And we will be able to enforce a player, the defensive, the offensive ones, sorry, to fight against the champion, because we have a way to enforce a player into your list of next opponents. What we're working on right now is a script that will help us collect the battle reports for all of those fights, which means there would be this event between 2 clans. We would decide of a time when the fights will take place, and we'll look at the outcome. There would be a pointing system. We'll look at the battle reports. We will share all of the battle reports with the community, and we'll decide who was the winner. And the winning team will probably win a cosmetic element, probably an exclusive banner to say that they won the championship and an exclusive title. And then the following week, we would do the same with two other clans and two other clans, etc. So that's something we're planning to do. And if the team are playing along and they're deciding, hey, you know what, we might even record the fights because you could do that. Then, if you send us the recorded fights, we would also share that and do a cut version of the best actions or whatever to share it on socials. The one thing at the moment is such a system, because it will still require quite some manual work. We might be able to do it for a few clans every week, but we won't be able to do it for all the clans. Even if that was once a month, we would not be able to do it for like, you know, 200 clans or whatever. It wouldn't work. So we have to do it for two clans each and every week. So what we're defining at the moment is whether we are going to pick ourselves the clans that we want to see contribute and contact them and see if they're interested. The other way we could do it is just to say, no, we are actually going to ask clans to tell us that they want to participate and we go from there. That's also a solution. So we have different options, different solutions. You guys will have to tell us if that's a concept that you would be interested in. And if you are interested in, you will have to tell us what you would prefer. It's definitely something we would be doing for you guys. So we'll have to get some discussions and some feedback from you and see what would work best for this kind of tournament. Also, one thing that is interesting there is that if it works fine, we could technically even have these kind of tournaments being organized by players between some other clans, and we could support it with rewards and such. Because if we know exactly what are the players that are going to fight, and we give a strict time frame when the fights are going to happen, since we will be the one making sure the clans will fight, uh, that would be uh, giving a lot of things there. So yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to discuss uh, with you guys. I don't know if you have any questions, anything that you want to discuss from the rune system, from the UI. We can still cover that, and also from this tournament mechanism. If you have anything there, any idea, any suggestion, we're completely ready to hear any of that and get this to work as well. Okay, so I take that as a no, which is fine. We just need to find a way. We'll be able to get some feedback about those clan mechanism. Oh, we have a question from Draco here. Is there going to be a live 1 versus 1? Both players can see the same battle. There are 3 rounds, and you can change your layer and strategy after a round. Um, so the problem, I mean, we could do something like this, right? Um, But to me, that is more something that will happen with the actual Clan Wars. So to give a refresher of where we stand with the Clan Wars design so far, what we have in mind is a system where you would have a certain amount of time to prepare. So you would enter the event and declare that your clan is taking part. you would be given an opponent, and an opponent as an opposing team, and then you will pretty much have a certain amount of time to prepare yourself for battle. Then you would get into the fight. Once you get into the fights, you cannot change the army you're using in that mode anymore, and you would get a different amount of points for your team depending on if you're able to defeat your opponent, how strong your opponent was compared to you, and also whether or not you manage to destroy their tower, because we will use a tower mechanism. So on the battlefield, there will be a tower or several that you need to protect, which means you need to be offensive because you need to defeat your opponents and their tower ideally, but you also need to protect your towers. Um, the idea would be that you have a limited amount of attacks that you can do each day, and when a player has been attacked, there will be a cooldown before anyone from your clan can attack him again. The point being that we don't want clan wars to be just let's hunt the smallest account we can and just keep on bashing him. That won't happen thanks to the cooldown, but also because you will get way more points even by being defeated by a super strong opponent than defeating a super weak one. So you will have to decide strategically as a clan who is attacking who and get going this way. If you are able to collect enough points, you will be able to defeat completely the other clan. If you are not able, neither you or your opponents, to get enough points to really defeat the other clan, what will happen is that the team with the most points at the end of the duration of the war gets the win. Once you won, this is reflected in a global ranking, and you enter the next round of the clan wars. So the clan wars system that we're thinking about right now would be something that pretty much doesn't end. What it does would be that every season or every era, there would be rewards based on the rankings from the clan wars. But you can keep on participating to the clan wars and getting higher and higher, or you can decide that as a clan you don't really care about participating in the clan wars, or you only want to go in the clan wars from time to time, and that will be up for you guys to decide. So to get back to your question, it would be a one versus one player. You will have several rounds because technically you can decide to have several fights against the same player. What is not 100% sure yet is how much you can change your strategy. Because if we allow players to fully change their armies during the entire event, um, it might become impossible to plan on the fight because some players could just purposely switch between armies or change everything every 5 minutes so that basically you never know what the fight could be. So one thing we could decide is that once you've been attacked and you're in cooldown, during that time you might be able to do some changes. Maybe not change your entire army, maybe you will be limited in the number of actions you could take, but that could be something we can think about. Like when you're in cooldown because you've been attacked, you have some time to change your layout and your army. That's something I could imagine happening indeed. Or maybe we could allow you to touch your army but not your commander and artifacts, or the other way around. We only allow you to change your artifact and your commander, but not your actual army. Or maybe you can only change 10 points of your army points in your army, but not the rest. So there could be ways around it. We have to make sure you have a way to correct any big mistake. We also have to make sure you cannot just switch armies constantly so that players have no idea pretty much who they are going to meet, because otherwise everyone will do that and it will be just a massive mess because strategically you won't be able to plan much. And that's the point we would like to focus on. So I hope that this answers your question and gives you some more details about what we plan to do on the longer run with the fight night type of events. Okay. Do you guys have any other question? Because we have like 30 accounts to go. So probably 25, 30 minutes or something like this. So if you have further questions, please go ahead. Let us know. Also, since we were on the topic of the clan wars, I would expect clan wars to be more of a 2026 project because our goal for now is to have everything commander related released by the end of the year. And so then we can start to have um, the clan wars features being the main element of the game. The clan war is probably going to happen in the same way than the commanders, which means split into smaller elements. So the clan wars I just described, it's the concept we are working on, but it might be that the first version is less developed than that, and that we're adding more stuffs as we go. On the longer run, like if you want me to share the long-term vision we would have, is that on top of that we would add a conquering map aspect. So you would have a map that you can conquer, and that's something we're looking into. But that would be really the more long-term aspect. We also have the ID, again, longer aspect kind of thing. Oh, weird that we have the real shipment showing up now. The other thing I'm thinking about is having potentially a um, kind of a castle for your clan. So something that you can decorate and just show off as being your clan's whole of victories and achievements on the game and on the clan wars more specifically as well. So that's some stuff we're looking at. In the meantime, it doesn't mean there will only be commanders coming in by the end of the year. There are other things we're looking at. For example, something that a lot of players have been asking about and we're looking into is the possibility to add new difficulty levels to the journey levels. That's something we're looking at the moment. So having pretty much all of the journey levels you already know, but having a hard version of it, and you would restart from the very first one, but with harder setup up until the point where you're done with all of those again, and then we could add a third difficulty, etc., if that ever needs to be done. But that's something we're looking at to be potentially implemented because it might require more work on the balancing and such, but it would be less work on the art side than creating entirely new regions as we're doing right now. Draco, you're asking, will there be a team buff like having 4 nature units gives small L3 gen to your army, or maybe like classes like having 5 tanks give defenses to small health units? So, yes and no. Yes, thanks to the commander, and yes, potentially for the clan wars, and no, as in not necessarily in the way you're thinking about it right now. What we're planning for the commanders for the end of the year. So after the release of the runes mechanism that I was referring to earlier, the commanders will still have 3 different things coming to them by the end of the year, ideally. One of them is the cosmetic aspects. So we want you guys to be able to collect skins and stuff like that for your commanders. The second thing will be a skill tree for your commander. The skill tree will come, and that's the last element, with progression system for your commander. So what we're planning on is that the more fights you do with your commander, the more experience you gain for your commander. By leveling up your commander, you're unlocking points that you can use in the skill tree in order to unlock specific effects. You will never be able to use all of the effects of the skill tree. The skill tree of your commander is going to have way more skills available than the number of points you can get from leveling up your commander, which means you will have to make choices about what buff you want to get. But this would be team buffs. Like there would be a buff on your commander for nature units, for example, or to range units, or stuffs that are more specific, like maybe your construct units um, have a bigger immunity to any form of traps or anything like this. And you will have to decide what you go for. You will be able to reset it. So, because we know that different power stones, different runes, different balancing of the unit makes it that you might want to switch your commander's focus. So you will be able to reset it. Most likely, it will come against a small amount of gems, or maybe it will be for free every X amount of time and then it costs a little amount of gems, but you will be able to reset completely your points. Another option would be that it's free to get, I don't know, 5 points back from your commander. But if you want to get all of the points you used in the skill tree back, then you would have to pay a small amount of gems or something like this. The point being that the three commanders will have different skill trees. They will have some effects in common that will be there for all the commanders, but they will have also specific things, meaning that there will be a point and a benefit in developing your three commanders and specializing your commanders into different things. And that means using different runes with um, a different set of skills, and ideally with a different army. So we will have this kind of buffs that you're referring to, as far as having them specific to certain conditions within your army, like having X amount of units of a certain type. It can be. I'm not sure yet if that's going to be the case, but that's something we are looking into for sure. So your commanders, as I was saying, there will be the progression system, there will be the skill tree, there will be the cosmetic aspects, and I forgot one, which is very important, but coming quite soon, is the yeah, exactly. You're reading my mind. There will be the active ability as well during the live fight that will come from the commander, and it will be different for each of the three commanders. And this skill, this active skill, will actually be part of the commander skill tree. It will be the first one you unlock, obviously, and in the skill tree you will be able to level it up by using some of your points, etc. The last thing to know is that some of the points, some of the elements. Oh wait, there's a. Sorry, we have a freeze with Said, so I will have to force close and restart the game, and we'll see and verify that Said is receiving its rewards in case it's not showing up right away for with Said in there. Sorry, just a second. We were pretty much done with those kind of things for a little while. It's a bit sad we're getting back there. Especially since we only have like 15 players to go. As far as I can see, Side is still shown as upcoming fights. So we'll see if it's working. It is possible that there's something wrong right now with Side setup. Yeah, and it did hurt the game because I can see that it's struggling way more than usual. So yeah, I don't know. Whatever you did, Said, the game didn't like it. Let's see. Okay, jumped directly to an IP. So I'm gonna check. Said, let me just take a second. We'll check that you got what you should have. Just a second. Sorry, folks. I just want to make sure Said got its reward. Usually, they are directly receiving their top rewards when this is happening, but I prefer to verify. There we go. Just a second. Okay. I'm waiting for the accounts to load, and we're going to check that right away. And so, yeah, to get back to your question, Draco, um, active abilities indeed will be a big part of the commanders too. And yeah, there will be different effects. And that means on the longer run, it also opens up the possibility of adding new commanders. Like if we see at one point that literally everyone has all the commanders maxed or whatever, we would still have the option to potentially get the new commanders back in. Okay, I can confirm, Said, that you had a victory and you received the gems and the prismatic fragments. So, yeah, sorry about that, but it is working as it should. So, yeah, glad you received the win. Anyway, I have absolutely no doubt that this is how it would have ended in your fight. And yeah, because we had this little cut in the meantime, I hope that I did answer your question, Draco. And if you have any further questions, you can definitely ask us. Also, sorry, since we were on the topic of active abilities, one thing we're looking at is this idea of having it triggered at a specific time when you're the defensive position. Because obviously, um, it would be a super huge advantage to any um, attacking army if they have the option to use this ability, but the defender does not have it. So what we'll likely do is that when you're defender, the active skill will trigger at a specific point in time, and it will be told in the description in game that in a battle it's triggered after 20 seconds or after 30 seconds. And if the fight is over before, that's too bad for you, but that will be something everyone knows, so there should be no real problem with that. Draco, you're asking what about balance changes? As I said earlier, we are planning for some more balancing changes. In general, we're always doing some balancing changes pretty much every season. And for season 3 and season 4, we are looking at changing the meta of the game. So we are looking at, you know, the well, let's look at this team right now. The idea is to probably have something that will nerf a bit Hydro, nerf a bit. I think there was the Draining Spirit that was brought up as well. There are a few units we want to nerf. We are always looking at buffing the units that are the least used and or have the lowest win loss ratio. Because if a unit is not used and has a very low win loss ratio, it means it needs a buff somewhere. On the other hand, if a unit is super used and it has a bad win loss ratio, it could be because it's picked up by a lot of new players when they don't know yet about all the mechanics of the game, which would explain a bit more losses than you should with this unit or those kind of things. But when you see a combo, it's not picked much by players and it has a very bad winning ratio, then yeah, usually it means that it needs a buff or it's not great enough to be in a good synergy with other units. So that's something we're looking at as well. But again, if you have any suggestions for buffs, we are always looking for it, as well as nerfs. To be honest, we are always open for any such thing. And we already have just 4 players to go. I can see that my victory rate has gone up a fair bit, which is surprising, but I'm gonna take it. You were thinking about some of the ranger or full infinite range, maybe at a limited range. Yeah, I mean that's something we can be looking at. I guess you're talking about the fire rangers, right? Um, yeah, that's something we can look at. Out of the blue like this, I wouldn't be able to tell you one of the strength but also weakness of Battle Legends that there are so many units that I usually get confused after a while about each and every one of them. But if you share the details that you have in mind, even on Discord or such, we can definitely get to it. And I always forward those kind of feedback to the game team, and we then discuss if it makes sense. As I said, they're always open to feedback and investigating whether it would make sense to nerf a unit. They've never been, um, you know, just saying, "Oh no, we are not going to nerf this unit or we're not going to buff this one." Now, usually, the one thing they can say is we don't want to nerf it too much or to buff it too much, but yeah, we try to accommodate the feedback we get on units. We try to find some data and experiment a bit with it to confirm what the players are telling us as well, because we don't want to take for granted what a specific player would tell us, just to realize that it's just because his build is not good against one specific type of units, which wouldn't be a good way to go. But when we have options, then yeah, we want to do things. And Guinela was our last opponent, if I seen that correctly. Let me see. Yes, so I'm gonna close the event. Everyone got their reward. So yes, that's pretty much it for today. We managed to talk about quite a few different topics. Before leaving you, I will probably show again, for those that joined a bit late, the video of the runes mechanism. Something I didn't mention earlier is that the text you were seeing on the video, even if it's a bit obvious, is placeholders. It's placeholders, so obviously the name, they don't make sense to you. That's how it looks when you're still developing um, an element. But as you can see, most of the UI, the user interface in general for this feature, is already ready and prepared. So that's a good thing. And we can definitely get going with this. So yeah, let's have a final look at this. Just, I think it's kind of smooth the way it looks and it works quite great overall. This crafting mechanism, I think it's going to be quite fun. I do believe that a lot of the top guys and most active players will quickly get to a point where they have a lot of the top rarity of the runes and they can use them most of the time, or sometimes use the rare or the uncommon. I don't think a lot of players will have to stick to common runes most of the time, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's definitely anyway something we've been working on for quite a while, so I'm quite happy to see that coming in. Quite happy mostly to see the first feature related to the commanders come to completion, so that you can see that this whole thing we've been working on the entire year on the UI and the commanders it was not just to make a slight lift, small, yeah, lifting of the game and looking it a bit sharp. No, we add actual design related elements there. So I'm glad we can finally show that up. Anyway, back to me and my face. Thank you everyone for joining us in this community stream. And yeah, thank you, Draco, for the conversation. I'm glad that you think it's looking smooth. Um, we'll be talking to you again in roughly 2 weeks, as we usually do. And in the meantime, take care. Have a wonderful evening. And yeah, we'll talk to each other in 2 weeks. Thank you, guys. Bye.